I need to say this up front, because otherwise people hear the short version and think it was an accident. No, I did not just slip and say something I did not mean. I did not wake up and decide, today is the perfect day to casually announce to my friend that I should have gone for my husband's brother instead, while my husband listens in real time. But I also did not trip over my tongue. I meant what I said in that moment. Not forever, not as a full life plan, but I meant the sting. I wanted to sound bold. I wanted to sound like the one with options. I wanted to feel powerful for once, instead of like the one who settled. So when I told my friend, honestly, I should have gone for his brother, he turned out better. I knew exactly which line I was crossing. What I didn't know was that my friend was literally holding my husband's phone in his hand at that exact moment. That my words were not bouncing inside one living room, but going straight into another. That my husband was sitting there, watching his own screen light up with my name, listening to my voice through his own speaker. That his brother was right there next to him. And my friend, he just sat there on the sofa, holding the phone between them like a mirror turned inward. So when people ask me, how did he find out? The answer is simple. He didn't find out later. He heard it live. By now, the story has traveled through both my family and his in the most simplified, polished form possible. She told her friend she should have gone for his brother. The friend was holding her husband's phone. He heard everything. That's the version that fits into one sentence. It sounds almost like a joke you tell at a party. People laugh a little when they repeat it, not because it is funny, but because it is so tidy, so easy to share. They skip all the boring pieces, months of comparisons in my head, little complaints about ambition and drive, tiny resentments that piled up until they turned into that one line. The version I tell myself is more complicated. I felt unappreciated. I felt like I chose the safe option instead of the bright one. I felt like I was carrying both of us while he drifted. I was venting. I went too far. But if we strip away every justification, an extra explanation, we're left with one clear fact. I said I should have chosen his brother. Out loud, on a call, with a third person. While my husband listened, and that is the moment everything split. Let me go back, because if I start in the middle, I sound even worse than I already do. My husband is named Alex. His older brother is named Mark. They are not the kind of brothers who look like clones. Alex is softer, shorter hair, rounder face, quieter presence. Mark has that natural lead-the-room energy. He walks in and people notice without him doing anything. When we met, Alex was the one who approached me first. We were at a birthday party. He made a shy joke about the snacks. I smiled, he smiled, and something about his awkwardness felt safe. Safe is a nice feeling when you're tired of being disappointed. I liked him. He was kind, attentive, honest. He remembered what I said. He wasn't the loudest, but he made space for me. We started dating. It felt calm, stable. A few weeks later, I met his family. That's when I met Mark. I remember the first time I saw Mark clearly. Same eyes as Alex, but sharper. Same jawline, but more defined. Same smile, but more confident. Where Alex wore a simple shirt and jeans, Mark wore a fitted jacket and shoes that looked like he'd chosen them on purpose. He worked in a different field, earned more, traveled more. He had stories about clients, about flights, about deals, about little adventures. He was not just older, he was brighter. At least, that's how it felt in group settings. I will be honest, a small part of me thought, oh, that silent, dangerous thought. If I had met him first, I pushed that thought away, because by then I was already with Alex. We had something, and it was not built on who could tell the loudest stories, but on who brought me soup when I was sick and who remembered how I took my coffee. Still, the comparison stayed in the back of my mind like a quiet echo. I never said anything out loud. Back then, I still knew how to keep some things inside. At first, Alex's steady nature was exactly what I needed. After a series of dramatic relationships with big emotions and bigger disasters, Alex felt like a soft landing. No games, no disappearing acts, no sudden reversals. He went to work, came home, asked about my day, cooked dinner with me, watched shows, paid bills on time. We built a life that looked fine on paper. Shared apartment, shared goals. Same plans about children in a few years. But somewhere along the way, fine stopped feeling like enough. I started wanting more. Sparkle. I wanted holidays, surprises, bold moves, financial leaps, new goals. I watched other couples online taking trips, changing careers, renovating homes. Meanwhile, Alex stayed in the same job. Same position, same salary. Whenever I suggested something bigger, he would say, "We need to be careful. It's not the right time. Let's think about it more." Careful, careful, careful. At first I appreciated it. Later, it started to sound like small. And once I heard small, I could not unhear it. You know what made it worse? Watching Mark move. Every time we went over to his place, he had something new going on. A side business, a new certification, a bigger project at work. Savings invested into something I didn't fully understand, but that clearly worked. He and his partner redesigned their living room, then their balcony. Then they went abroad for a long weekend, like it was nothing. Meanwhile, Alex and I had the same couch, same routine, same cautious conversations about maybe upgrading our car in a few years. My brain did what a lot of brains do when you see two similar people living differently. It started building a quiet question. Why is one brother moving forward and the other staying in place? When I felt generous, I told myself, they just have different personalities. Mark is bold, Alex is careful. Both are valid. When I felt resentful, I told myself something else. I picked the safe one and now I'm stuck walking while the other one runs. I did not say this out loud, but when you repeat a thought often enough in your head, it starts looking for a way out. My best friend's name is Lena. Everyone has a Lena in their life at some point, the friend you can call and say the worst version of your feelings to, and she will not immediately judge you. We have our own language. We exaggerate, we dramatize, we say, "I am done," 10 times, and still show up to work the next day. She knows my patterns, I know hers. When I started complaining about Alex, I didn't go to a therapist. I went to her. I told her about the small frustrations. He never wants to plan anything. I have to push him. He says one day about everything. I feel like I'm dragging him behind me. She listened, nodded, agreed with me most of the time. Friends do that. Little by little, Alex turned into safe choice in our conversations, and safe choice slowly turned into wrong choice. I started throwing sentences like, if I had known then what I know now, if life gave me the same family but a second chance. I did not finish those sentences at first. Later, I did. The specific sentence, the one that destroyed everything, did not appear out of nowhere. It evolved. First it was, sometimes I think Mark is what Alex could have been if he pushed himself. Then, I see Mark and I see an upgraded version of my husband. Then, on a more careless day, honestly, if I had to choose based on where they are now, I'd be tempted to pick the other one. Lena would laugh, make a face and say, "You are terrible." But she did not tell me to stop saying it. She knew it was messy. I knew it was messy. We treated it like forbidden comedy. That's all it was supposed to be. Talk, words in one living room, between two people. But words do not stay in one room forever, especially when you start to enjoy them. I started to feel clever when I said them, like I was above my own story, like I had the luxury of looking at my life and rating it from outside. I picked option B, but option A seems better now. It sounded almost analytical. It was actually ungrateful. Here is how the day went, step by step. Alex was spending the evening at Mark's place. It was a simple plan. The brothers wanted to watch a match together, eat something, and talk about a family matter. They left in a good mood. No fight, no tension. I stayed at home. I cleaned a bit, scrolled, felt restless. By the time the sun started to go down, I was irritated for no clear reason. I opened my banking app and saw the same numbers. Nothing had changed. No sudden promotion, no raise, no surprise deposit. I opened social media and saw someone I knew post about moving to a bigger place, another traveling again, another starting a course. Everything looked like motion, except my life. My life looked like the same sofa, the same walls, the same job, the same careful man. In that mood, I called Lena. She picked up on video. "Alone tonight?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, sinking back against the cushions. "He went to his brother's. Again." "Of course," she joked. "Those two are joined at the hip." Something in me sharpened. "I think that's the problem," I said. "What do you mean?" she asked. "I'm watching my husband and his brother," I began, "and it feels like I applied to the same company as two positions and somehow took the one with no growth." She laughed. "That is a harsh comparison." "I know," I said. "But is it wrong?" We talked like that for a while. Every sentence of mine had a little edge. Every sentence of hers either softened it a bit or pushed it further with jokes. We did not notice the line approaching. What I did not know at the time was what was happening on the other side of the city. Alex and Mark were sitting on Mark's sofa. They had finished eating. The match was on, but not very interesting. They were talking about something real for once. Alex had been feeling unsure about his job. He was thinking about making a move, but was scared. Mark had told him, "Call me anytime you want to talk, even if you just need to say everything out loud." So when Alex saw my name light up his phone once earlier that evening, he hesitated and declined. He did not want to argue in front of his brother. Later, he went to the kitchen to fix something to drink. He left his phone on the coffee table. While he was in the kitchen, I called again. Mark, being helpful, picked it up. He saw my name. He thought, maybe it's something urgent. He answered, expecting to say, "Hey, Alex is in the kitchen. I'll pass him the phone." By the time he picked up, my call had already connected. I was mid-complaint. He held the phone, confused, and said nothing. He did not announce himself. He heard my voice, sharp, annoyed, echoing through the speaker, and instead of hanging up, he stayed still and listened for a second, unsure if he should interrupt or not. Then Alex came back from the kitchen. He saw Mark holding his phone, saw his own name on the screen. He lifted an eyebrow as if to ask, "Everything okay?" Mark said quietly, "You might want to hear this." He put the phone on the table. Speaker on, both of them listening, and I kept talking. Back in my living room, I had no idea there was an audience. I was pacing now, phone in my hand, voice rising. "I just feel like I carried this relationship into stability," I told Lena. "I did the planning, the saving, the emotional work, and now I'm standing next to a man who doesn't seem to want more." "You always say that," she replied gently. "But you chose him. You knew he was careful." "I chose the version of him that still wanted to grow," I snapped, "not the one who hides behind 'we need to be realistic' every time I suggest something." "That sounds heavy," she said. "It is," I agreed. "And you know what annoys me most?" "What?" she asked. "Watching his brother move up while we stay in one place," I said, "seeing what my life could look like if I had made a different choice." She went quiet for a moment. "That's a dangerous thought," she said finally. "But it's true," I insisted. "Look at the two of them. Same childhood, same family, same opportunities. And yet one of them is moving fast and the other is stuck. You can't know everything about their paths," she tried. I pushed past her words. "Sometimes I really think," I began, feeling both wrong and thrilled at my own boldness, "if I could rewind time and choose between them with what I know now." I paused for effect. I wanted to feel it land. "I would go for Mark," I said. "He actually turned out better." Silence. On my side for a second because even I knew I'd crossed something. Then Lena let out a low whistle. "You did not just say that," she breathed. "I did," I said, a bitter little laugh escaping. "Honestly, I should have gone for his brother. Let's be real." That was the line, that exact line. I should have gone for his brother. On the other side of the phone, in another living room, my husband heard every word. What I heard next didn't make sense at first. A second voice, not Lena's, not quiet, clear. It said slowly, "Good to know." I stopped breathing for a moment. My brain tried to deny what my ears already understood. I pulled the phone back from my ear and looked at the screen. The name at the top was not Lena, it was Alex. I had not called her directly. I had called him first, he'd missed it, and then somehow the call had stayed on. My stomach twisted. "Hello?" I said, trying to sound unsure, like there might be some mistake. "Alex." A pause. Then his voice again. "So," he said, calm in a way that frightened me more than any shout could have, "you should have gone for my brother." The world narrowed. "Alex," I said quickly, "this is not, I was just, it was taken out of context." "Oh, there was plenty of context," he replied. "We heard the whole thing." "We?" I repeated. At that moment, another voice joined in. "Mark." "Mia," he said quietly, "I'm here too." I felt heat rush to my face even though I was completely alone. I realized with absolute clarity that the sentence I had used like a toy had just landed in the one place I never wanted it to land. Not in my friend's living room, but between my husband and his brother. You would think they started shouting. They didn't. Those few seconds after I realized they were both listening were some of the quietest of my life. I started talking fast. "I was emotional," I said. "I did not mean it seriously. We were just playing around with ideas. You know how friends talk. I was trying to express that I want more out of life, that I feel stuck, that you made the wrong choice," Alex finished for me. "That you should have chosen my brother instead of me." "It's not like that," I insisted. "You're twisting it." "I am repeating it," he said, word for word. I could hear something in his voice that I had not heard before. Not anger, not tears. Something heavy settling in place. On his side, Mark was silent. That somehow made it worse. I wanted him to jump in and say, "She doesn't mean it like that, she's just being dramatic." He did not say that. He said something very different. "Mia," Mark said, and I could hear him choosing his words carefully. "Do you realize what you just did?" "I was venting," I replied, my voice high with raw panic. "People say wild things when they are venting." "This is not wild in some random way," he said calmly. "You just told your friend you should have picked me. You made me a comparison tool between you and my own brother. And we both heard it." "I was not serious," I said quickly. "You know I see you like family." "That makes it worse," he replied. The simple way he said it hit hard. "I did not mean I want you now," I argued. "I meant that from an outside perspective. Your life looks more successful, and sometimes I feel like you chose the wrong brother," Alex said flatly. His voice had lost all warmth. "I chose you because I loved you," I said, finally shifting away from anger to fear. "I still do. I was just frustrated." "You do not talk about someone you love like they are a failed option in a list," he replied. "You do not sit there listing another man's achievements while using your husband as the example of what not to do." I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Because he was right. I had done exactly that. You would think I found the right words then. I didn't. I threw everything at them. "You're not listening to what I was trying to say. You know I've been feeling stuck. I have supported you for years. Are you really going to throw our whole relationship away over one sentence?" I kept talking, trying on different tones. Angry, hurt, soft, rational, nothing stuck. At one point, Mark said quietly, "Alex, I'm going to hang up now. This is between you and your wife." "You're part of it now," I snapped. Silence. Then Alex said, "No, This is between me and her. The line went quiet. I heard a click. The call ended. I sat there, staring at my screen, my own face reflected in the black glass. For a full minute, I did not move. The thought that kept repeating in my head was stupid and small. He heard me. He actually heard me. Not later, not by accident, in real time. I expected him to call back. I expected a follow-up message, a wall of text, something. For the next hour, I kept checking my phone. Nothing. I wrote him first. "Can we talk, please?" No response. You know I was exaggerating. Nothing. "I love you, you know that. This is being blown out of proportion." Still nothing. I messaged Lena. "What do I do?" I wrote. "He heard everything." She replied fast. "He what?" I explained. She sent back. "This is bad." No suggestions. Just that. I wanted to scream at her. "You were there too. Why didn't you stop me?" But the truth is, she had tried, in her way. She'd said, "That's a dangerous thought." I had stepped into it anyway. He came home late that night. The moment I heard his key in the door, my heart jumped. I stood up too quickly, almost tripping on the coffee table. He walked in carrying a bag. Not a grocery bag, a travel bag. He did not slam the door. He did not throw the bag. He placed it carefully by the wall and looked at me. His eyes were not red. He had not been crying. That somehow hurt more. "Alex," I began. He held up a hand. "Let me speak first," he said. I shut my mouth. He took a breath. "I went for a walk after we hung up," he said. "Around the block. Around several blocks, actually. I thought about everything you said. Not just today, but over the last months." He looked straight at me. "You have been comparing me to my brother for a long time," he continued. "Not always out loud, but I felt it. Every time you praised him in front of me, while looking disappointed at me, I felt it." "I never said," I started. "You did not need to," he cut in. The tone was clear. He stepped closer, still keeping a distance. "When you said, 'I should have gone for his brother,'" he said, "it was not a new thought. It was the truth you had been building inside yourself for a while. Today you just said it where I could hear it." "That is not fair," I protested. "People say things they do not fully mean when they are tired or upset." He shook his head slightly. "You meant it," he said. "Maybe not as a real plan, not as, 'I am going to leave you and chase him,' but you meant the ranking. You meant that in your mind you placed him above me." I opened my mouth to deny it. Instead, I closed it again, because lying at that point would have been pointless. He walked past me into the bedroom. I followed, speaking fast. "Alex, please, can we sit down and talk this through?" I said. "You cannot just make a decision based on the worst version of my feelings." "Can I not?" he asked without looking back. He pulled my suitcase out of the closet. My suitcase, not his. Something inside me dropped. It was a familiar movement, the one you see in films when someone is about to leave. He put it on the bed and opened it. "Alex," I said, my voice breaking. "Stop, please stop." He began taking my clothes from the drawers, not roughly, not tearing anything. Carefully, folded items, stacked them. Each calm movement felt worse than shouting. "I am your wife," I said, my tone rising. "You do not just pack your wife's things because you heard something you did not like. This is not how adults solve problems." "You did not say something I did not like," he replied. "You said something that changed how I see our entire relationship." "How?" I demanded. He turned to me then, holding one of my shirts in his hands. "In every argument," he said slowly, "I thought we were still on the same team, even when you were harsh, even when you mocked how cautious I am. I thought you were frustrated with where we were, not with who I am." "That is exactly it," I said quickly. "I am frustrated with our situation." "No," he said quietly. "You are disappointed in your choice. You made that very clear." He put the shirt in the suitcase. "I tried everything." The angry approach. "You are really going to prove my point by acting like the weaker brother now, leaving instead of fighting for us?" He did not react. "That is under the belt," he said calmly. "Even now, you are still using comparisons." The guilty approach. "I stood by you when things were hard," I said. "When you struggled with that manager, when we had to cut back on expenses, when your first promotion did not work out. I did not leave. Does that not mean anything?" "It means a lot," he said. "It also does not erase the fact that you spend your free time imagining what life would be if you had chosen someone else in my family." The soft approach. "I am scared," I finally admitted, my voice cracking. "I am scared of staying in one place forever. I see other people building more, and I panic. That panic comes out in ugly ways. I am sorry." He stopped packing for a moment. "I know you are scared," he said. "I am scared too. I do not always know how to move forward. But I cannot be scared and live with someone who constantly tells me I am the lesser version of what I could have been." He zipped the suitcase halfway. "You want a different type of life," he said. "You want a different type of man. Maybe you do not actually want my brother, but you want his energy, his speed, his shine, and you will not stop putting me next to him in your mind." He took a breath. "I will not compete with my own brother for my wife's respect," he said. "I refuse." When everything was packed, he carried the suitcase to the front door. I followed, shaking. "Where am I supposed to go?" I asked quietly. He paused. "You have friends," he said. "You have family. You are not being left on the street with no help, but you cannot stay here with me while holding this idea in your head that you made the wrong choice." "I can change that," I insisted. "I can work on my thinking." "You should," he agreed, "for your own sake, but not here, not through me." He opened the door. The hallway outside was cold, empty. "You are overreacting," I said weakly. "Everybody compares sometimes." "Maybe," he said, "but not everybody tells a third person that they should have chosen someone else while holding their partner's name on the phone. Not everybody lets that sentence sit there like truth." He moved the suitcase outside. I stood in the doorway, my heart pounding. "Alex, please," I whispered. He looked at me one last time. "When you told Lena you should have gone for Mark," he said slowly, "you did not think I would ever hear it. That is when you were honest. Now you are scared. That is the only difference." He nodded slightly. "You chose your honesty," he said. "I am choosing mine." Then he closed the door. Now I am on a different sofa, at Lena's place. My suitcase is open on her floor. She walks around it carefully, like it is a piece of noise she cannot get rid of yet. The first night, she brought me a blanket and tea and sat down next to me. She did not say, "You poor thing." She asked, "Do you understand why he reacted like that?" I wanted to say, "He is too sensitive." What came out instead was, "I did not think he would hear me." She nodded. "That is honest," she said. "But that is not an answer to my question. Do you understand why it hurt him so much?" I basically told him he is the lesser brother, I admitted. "Not basically," she corrected gently. "You literally said you should have gone for the other one." I pressed my face into the blanket. "I did not mean it as, 'I want him now,'" I mumbled. "That does not matter," she said. "What matters is that you told someone else you believe you picked the wrong person. And you used his own brother as your example of a better option. That is a very deep cut." I stayed quiet. "You talk about these men like they are choices in a catalogue," she continued, "but they are real people with their own history, their own insecurities. You acted as if your view is the final rating. One is the upgraded version, one is the basic model. You said that while being married to the basic model." Her words stung, because they were the same words I had been using in my head. It did not take long for the rest of his family to find out. They did not need a story. They had the simple version. She told a friend she should have gone for Mark. Alex heard. Mark heard too. His sister messaged me. "You did not just think it, you said it, to someone else, while my brother listened. Please do not contact me for a while." His mother wrote, "I opened my home to you, treated you like my daughter, and you sit somewhere talking about my sons like you are choosing a product. Until further notice, stay away. I wanted to tell her that I also grew up in a home where people compared siblings all the time, so this way of thinking came naturally. But that does not excuse it. Mark sent one message, just one. I will not be used as a measurement in your relationship. Do not drag me into any more conversations about what could have been. I am choosing my brother. That line stuck with me. I am choosing my brother. Because that is really what happened. I tried to choose between them in my head. They chose each other over me. Yes, I went to therapy. And yes, the first thing she asked was familiar. When you said, I should have gone for his brother, what result were you hoping for? I honestly do not know, I said. Maybe I just wanted to hear myself say the worst thing in my head, to see if it sounded true. Did it? She asked. Yes, I said. In that moment, yes. And now? She asked. I thought about it. No, I said slowly. Not fully, at least. I do not actually want Mark. I never did, not really. I wanted what he represented, stability with movement, safety with ambition. I turned him into a symbol in my head. So, in your mind, she said, your husband became the one who stayed small, and his brother became the life you could have had. Yes, I admitted. And you held those two images up next to each other, she continued, and forgot that they are real people. You forgot that your husband sees his brother too, that he has spent his whole life being compared to him in one way or another. Then you made yourself the final judge in that comparison. I swallowed. When you say it like that, I said quietly, I sound proud, arrogant. You sound hurt, she corrected. And when we are hurt, we reach for shortcuts. In this case, your shortcut was, if only I had chosen the other brother, everything would feel different. It is easier to blame a choice than to look at how you speak to your partner now. How I speak, I repeated. Because that is what this whole story is in the end. Not about who works where, who earns what, who moves faster. It is about how I spoke. This is what I understand now, sitting on my friend's sofa with my life in a suitcase. There is a difference between thinking, sometimes I wish our life looked different, and saying, I should have chosen someone else. One is normal restlessness. The other is a blade. There is a difference between saying, your brother's job seems exciting, and saying, your brother turned out better than you. One is an observation. The other is a judgment. I spent months mixing those up. I told myself I was just being honest and realistic. But what I was really doing was placing myself on some imaginary balcony above two men, rating them according to how close they were to the life I wanted. I chose Alex, but I did not own that choice with grace. Instead, every time I doubted, I used his brother as an anchor for my regret. That is what he heard on that call. Not just one sentence, but the full weight of every unspoken comparison behind it. And honestly, I cannot blame him for not wanting to spend the rest of his life wondering if his own wife believes she made the wrong choice every time she sees his brother. Some people would stay and fight. Some would demand constant reassurance. Some would try to win their partner back from this imagined triangle. Alex did something else. He refused to compete. He stepped out. So here we are. The short, shareable version is simple. She told her friend she should have gone for his brother. Her friend was holding her husband's phone while she talked. He heard everything. That will live on in family circles, in group chats, as a warning, as a joke, as a story. The real version is longer. It includes all the times I praised his brother in front of him, not seeing the way Alex's face tightened for a second. All the moments I made small comments like, see, that's how you take risks, when Mark did something new. All the just joking remarks about how some people come with upgrades built in. Every one of those moments chipped away at something. The phone call was just the final hit. I lost my husband that day. Not because his brother is actually better, not because my friend betrayed me or because technology glitched. I lost him because, when I thought he was not listening, I said the truest, ugliest version of what I had been thinking, and he decided to believe me. He chose to believe the version of me who spoke in private, not the version of me who cried and begged after the fact. And if I am honest with myself, uncomfortably honest, he was right to do so, because inside I did hold him next to his brother and ask over and over, did I pick the right one? Now I have my answer. Not about them, about me. I thought I was judging my choices. It turns out my choices were judging me back.